Hello everybody, today we're going to take a look at the Gamo Urban 22, and it's one heck of an air gun. This is a very compact air gun. Even with the full can suppressor, it's very short. It makes it great for taking out into the woods hunting or shooting in your backyard. It's not overly long, it goes nice in a rifle case. Just everything about the form factor in this gun I really love. The stock, the very solid composite all-weather stock. It doesn't feel cheap, doesn't feel hollow, it feels really good in the hand. This is a bolt action rifle, comes with a 10-shot magazine. Now this is chambered for 22 cal, and the Urban 22 is only in 22 caliber. But you get 10 shots per magazine, and you get about 30 shots per fill. Shot count, like I just mentioned, is about 30 shots per fill, and it stays relatively even, given this has the BSA fast strike valve in it. It's not regulated, but it's very, very consistent, even though it's not regulated. We're shooting today here at 45 yards, and we're getting groups like that. And that's really something special in an air gun that's sitting at right around that $400 price range. You know, as we're wrapping up this quick look at the Urban 22, there's one thing I forgot to mention, and that's its trigger. It has Gamo's custom action trigger, which breaks at under 2 pounds. Now that's out of the box. No tweaking, no tuning, it just works. So again, let's go ahead and wrap this up. Gamo Urban 22, 22 caliber, 22-ish foot-pounds of energy, suppressed, super quiet air gun. The stock is very lightweight, it's compact, it's perfect whether you're shooting in the backyard or you're taking it out into the woods to go do some small game hunting. It's a really, really good option for any of those things you want to do. My name is Rick Utzel with Airgun Web at Airgun Web TV. Thanks for watching.
Hey everybody, I'm David. I'm out today on the range with the Umarex Gauntlet. This rifle is, it's impressive. To start with, this is Umarex's latest PCP gun. It's pre-charged pneumatic, shoot 60 shots. This is the 22. Right at a consistent pressure, 900 feet per second, throughout the entire shot string. Stunning consistency. We've put it on the chronograph. We have the results in the review. The consistency remains solid from the beginning right straight through the end. The barrel is integrally suppressed, has a few baffles down here on the end, but the entire length of this tube, which shrouds the barrel, helps to keep this gun quiet, and it is insanely quiet. When you're shooting at a target, we've got a board downrange. It's louder hitting the board than it is coming out of the muzzle. Now this gun sells for about $300, which is really surprising when you begin to look at the accuracy and the consistency that the platform itself is delivering. It does not come with an optic, so you can put your own scope up top. What we're using today is an Umarex 3x9. It's working incredibly well. It has a lot of adjustments to it. The trigger is adjustable all the way down to below 2 pounds. The cheek piece goes up and down. Rifles like this, they typically deliver this kind of performance at a much higher rate, sometimes 3 or 4 times the price point. This one from Umarex is shooting consistently well. We're seeing groups that you can cover up with a quarter at 50 yards. The accuracy is solid. The performance is incredible. It shoots from a rotary magazine, very easy to load, where you have the single shot sled that you can put in if you want the sort of extra protection for the pellets you're shooting. Comes in 22 and .177. Very consistent, very reliable. Let's take it down range and see some of the actual results. Just squishing through that same hole. This is a regulated tank, which gives you that consistency all the way through that 60-shot string. And there's something else, which is there's a degassing key available, and it goes in right here. If you need to degas for any reason whatsoever, you can stick this in and bleed off that tank with very little difficulty. It happens safely and easily. The trigger is highly adjustable, drops down to less than 2 pounds, which is a very, very light trigger for a rifle. Allows for that pinpoint accuracy though, because once you get the target completely set, just a mere brush of that trigger will send the pellet downrange. The tank is housed here in the forearm. The barrel, which is suppressed all the way down, provides for a very, very quiet, louder hitting the target than it is coming out of the muzzle. It's lightweight. The weight is very well balanced. It's just as easy to hold this as it is to shoot it from the sled. Everything about this speaks to usability. But there's something more, which is the accuracy that we see downrange. This gun in this price point, $300, is shooting very close to minute of angle. You can cover up your shot group, and we've got a 10-shot group down here that I'll show you can cover up with a quarter. From 50 yards, that's tremendous accuracy for a gun in the $300 price point. So what I'm seeing here with this is I was shooting just a little bit high of where I intended, but the group itself is pretty tight. From 50 yards, that's less than an inch from center to center on my two flyers. That's astounding accuracy for a gun in the $300 price range. And it's consistent. If you look at the targets that I've shot so far, the group sizes are all right around that. You can cover them up with a quarter. Now this is keep in mind, this is a shoot and see target, so the impact spreads the color. So what you're seeing off here on the yellow is actually a lot wider than the actual group spacing itself, which is only measuring from those 2 points. Now this gun sells for about $300, which is really surprising when you begin to look at the accuracy and the consistency that the platform itself is delivering.
All right, the hammer. This has been my best friend for a long time now. So I've spent a lot of time shooting this thing, a lot of time hunting with it, shooting long distance, messing around with it. And I came across a few things that I think will be helpful tips for you guys if it frustrated me or got to a point where I was like, dang it, I forgot to do this, or why is this happening? I'm gonna tell you so it alleviates it. The magazine, for number one, it's got 2 shots in it, which is perfect. When you go to put the ammunition in there, if you take like one of the bullets and drop it in, the bullets sometimes will pass all the way through and they'll shake out. See how they hang out the bottom? That can happen if you tilt your gun down. And if it does, you will not be able to take the magazine out and unload it. And for some reason, you're walking and jiggling, it kind of wedges itself in there. You'll actually have to fire the gun to unload it. So for me, what I do is take this and actually just put a nick in the edges. You can use your fingernail. You can use the other magazine if you want to. Anything that's metal, and you just nick the edges so they hang out from the side. I don't know if you can see that, but it doesn't take much. And then at that point, just do what the magazine tells you to do, insert it this way. It's perfect, it doesn't fall out of there. That's one of the things I'm looking for. So I take the second one here and I wanna load it up. I'm gonna check it as I drop it in there. You can see it kind of fall through and it's already sticking out the bottom. So I know I'm gonna have to nick this one too. So I just nick them both. Drop it in place and punch it through. And with that, there they are. They're held in place, they're not gonna drop out of there. That's just a simple little tip to keep the bullet itself from actually going down into the barrel and then not allowing you to properly unload the gun from there. So otherwise you have to fire the gun. For me, if I'm out hunting, I don't really wanna fire the gun, or sometimes I wanna check or pull it out and take a look at it. It depends on what you wanna do. So that covers the bullets, kind of tip number one. Number two is we start talking about optics. This is not a gun, you're not gonna put a cheap optic on it, number one, because you can actually shoot this thing at distance. So for me, I shoot a 5x30 by 50, and that means the bell housing up here in the front is actually a 50. So you're gonna get pretty close to the rail depending on your ring height. So you wanna make sure and measure that first so you can get that set up. The other thing is you wanna get a scope that has good eye relief. because the heavier the bullet that you put in there, you're gonna, for every action, there's an equal and opposite reaction. When you do that, it's gonna give you a little bit of kick. And it's not like a kick like a normal firearm. It's more like a kick like, it's like a shove kind of, like in between a shotgun and then, I don't know, it's a really cool feeling. But, and of course you're gonna wanna shoot the 550 grain bullets out of it for sure. So get yourself a good optic, check your eye relief. I think that's the most important thing, because if my eye relief is here, now I'm using the very back of my gun for the cheek well to put my face in there. So I like to move the scope a little bit further forward so that I can move up here on the cheek well and it settles into my shoulder. It just is a little bit more comfortable for you that way. Again, and check your scope rings. Take it in there if you want to. You can mount the scope rings, check the height, and you don't want your bell housing or your bell up here in the front actually banging off the front of the gun. So with that said, that's good. And there's some other options out there. On the front portion of it here, these are M-LOK inserts. So you can actually put like an M-LOK, if you want to put a Picatinny rail on here, you can actually get a 3-inch Picatinny and mount that on top of that. You can go a little bit longer if you want to and have it extend. It's really up to you, whatever you want to do. And then on the very bottom down here, because everybody's like, well, what if I want to put a bipod on this? Or what if I want to mount it to a tripod or something like that? Down here, you also have M-LOK slots here. You can put a rail across the bottom. And then all you have to do is connect it in there. With the M-LOK, it's nice. You just put it in, tighten the screws down, and then that gives you a Picatinny rail. You can clamp your bipod to that, or you can hook it up to a tripod. Those are just some little tips that I've got there. And really with the scope, I mean, you guys are going to be amazed. It's absolutely awesome. I started with a scope that was like a 3x9, and after that, now I'm up at a 5x30 because, heck, this thing's fun to shoot, and not only that, it's accurate too. So with that being said, you guys have fun slinging lead. If you want to follow me on Instagram, it's TXHogDude. If you want to follow me on Facebook, it's Iden Hansen Official. And with that, you guys have fun slinging lead.